Hello everybody, this is Nathan on Shuffle and I've got a great album review for you today. This is Manchester Orchestra and their latest album, The Million Masks of God. This is a great record that I wanted to share. It's kind of maybe a little bit outside of my typical wheelhouse. It really isn't a progressive rock record, which is usually the genre I cover. This is more of kind of an indie rock, maybe a tinge of alternative or a little bit of folk rock kind of in the mix. But I just really fell in love with this record as I was listening, and as I kind of talked about in some of my early videos, I'm trying to expand my tastes a little bit just beyond the typical progressive rock stuff that I listen to. So I hope to sprinkle in some of these other releases that are maybe on the fringes of the kind of music I like, but not too far out of the realm, I think, at least in this case. This is a great group led by Andy Hull, is kind of the lead singer-songwriter of the group. And I know his name because he worked with the Deer Hunter. He is featured on the Red EP from the Color Spectrum by the Deer Hunter. So that's kind of where I heard about Manchester Orchestra and why the name kind of sparked my interest when I heard they had a new album out. So this album, The Million Masks of God, just came out not too long ago, a few weeks ago. And it's really been one that's touched me deeply. I really like it. And it just is really sweet and special, and so I just thought I'd do a quick review here that kind of features it. First of all, I want to kind of show off, I did pick up the record here, the vinyl, so I wanted to show you. That's the cover. Of course, the back has the track listing and the album name there. Inside we've got, of course, the cool booklet that comes with it with all the lyrics inside. Definitely cool to have the lyrics to read along to. Then of course the sleeve here that the actual record comes in with some more artwork. And it's a colored vinyl as well. I got the light blue color, which I thought was really neat. So that kind of is a really fun part of this collection as well. I really like to see that. I think it fits well with the cover and the artwork, and so this is a really sweet package for this record, The Million Masks of God. So as for the music that you could expect to hear on this, there's a lot of great folk kind of inspired sections. There's a lot of alternative rock, a lot of more peaceful numbers with like lighter instrumentation, some guitar plucking, some beautiful harmony vocals, and then there's also a few songs that are a bit on the heavier end, a bit, have a bigger sound and have more in the mix going on, and some great grooves and some beats that really are fun and upbeat in certain parts of the record. But it's a good little record. It has a lot of variety to it. It tells kind of I believe it's a concept album from what I've been reading about it. It seems like when they were working on the record, their lead guitarist, Robert McDowell, had an unfortunate passing of his father, and that kind of colored the concept of this album. It kind of made them infuse that kind of feeling into this record, where there's a lot of stuff about life and about death and about a journey through life, and that's kind of what this album does, is takes you on that journey. And it's really cool. It's a conceptual album, so each track kind of flows into the next and makes it feel like one continuous piece. And I feel like it's a great length. It's like 45 minutes, really gives you a chance to envelop yourself in this feel and in this world, but doesn't stay there too long. So I really like that aspect of it, that it's, just the perfect length, and it takes you through these moods and these feelings and takes you through this journey between life and death, and kind of has a little bit of a hopeful note, I think, throughout the piece. There's a lot of uplifting moments and a lot of beauty and sweetness throughout the mix. I feel like the beginning of the album is the more like slightly heavier section of it. There's Inaudible, kind of starts with a lot of vocals, some even Beach Boys-esque harmonies before it gets into this kind of big buildup of sound, towards the end of the track. Angel of Death is very groovy and kind of has a good beat to it. Keel Timing, one of my favorite tracks of the album, has more of a heavier vibe, kind of a more rockish song, but it's really, interplayed well with different beats and different grooves and laid back bits in the verses. before it heads to kind of a heavier chorus. But it does have some great dynamics there from Light and Shade. Bedhead is the first single from the album, which kind of has that straight alternative feel, and it has a heavier kind of vibe to it as well, kind of more rockier. But then things kind of slow down and get peaceful with Annie, which is one of my favorites. I love the drum and guitar pattern at the beginning. Great combination of sounds, great piano in the background that you can hear, and sublime melodies and all this great stuff going on in the mix. I really think that's a highlight of the record, and it kind of continues in that vein for the next several tracks. I love Telepath and Let It Storm, kind of also giving that folky kind of vibe and really, you know, laying in that kind of more acoustic feel with acoustic guitar and sweet vocals and harmonies. I really appreciate the sound there, and it really gives me kind of a laid back feel to this record that I feel is necessary and kind of sets it apart from some of the more heavier albums that I tend to listen to. Dinosaur is another highlight that I'd like to mention. A cool vibe, really gets into a good groove and has a great hook to it. Obstacle is another favorite, kind of back to more of that folky type sound I was talking about with those Annie, Telepath type songs. Just really sweet and a great guitar sound, plucking that guitar strings that makes it just sound so majestic and sweet with those great vocals. Way Back is another kind of melancholy, slower song before it heads to the finale of The Internet, which is beautiful. It has some great, you know, vocals, swells at the end, kind of gives this big kind of swelling ending, and I think it's very appropriate to kind of end the album on that note and give it that kind of almost epic feel towards the end. So it's a cool record. It has some slight heavier moments, but it has a lot of kind of folky acoustic type style stuff, and just the vocals throughout are just beautiful. So many great harmonies and so many sweet sections, such great writing, great, you know, lyrics to go along with this, talking about life and death and about the journey of life. And it's very touching and moving, especially when you consider the story behind it, how it was kind of sparked by this passing of one of the band members' fathers. And it's just, you know, really compelling to think about that as the backdrop and how they were able to process that through the making of this album. I think that kind of adds a special stamp. So definitely another strong record that's come out this year. One I wanted to highlight, even though it's not quite in the family of a lot of other stuff that I do. But I think it's really, really highly recommended for those who like this kind of indie style, indie rock, folk rock, you know, alternative rock kind of style. I think this is a great record that should be heard by many. You know, I think they're kind of an underrated band because they should be, in my estimation, one of the big names of the indie rock scene. And I don't think they have quite reached that level, but I don't see why, because they just have all of the skill, they have all of the songwriting abilities, they're masters at their instruments and craft and the style of what they're doing. And I'm excited. This is really the first full record I've heard from the band, if I'm being honest. And so I'm excited to kind of delve backwards and hear some of their other records. Because if they're at this level of quality here, I'm sure their other records are also just gems as well in the indie rock space. So hopefully this has been a good recommendation. If you guys like these types of album reviews, please let me know in the comments. Please subscribe to all the things I'm doing here. I'm trying hard to build up this channel, improve some of the sound quality issues and some of the settings of where I shoot these videos, trying to make it a good channel that's high quality but has a lot of good solid content between this and the Janet React series, which I know is probably a bit more popular than my solo reviews and things. But you know, I hope there's kind of a home for both sides of the channel, and that you guys enjoy some new music recommendations and my thoughts on some of these albums that come out throughout the year. So thanks again for all of the support and everything you guys are doing, watching these videos, commenting, subscribing. It really means a lot to me, and I hope that this just continues to grow as time goes on. So thank you guys again, and as always, enjoy the music. When I'm falling, when I'm falling.